and Jason. So we do have a quorum.
We do have a quorum?
Yeah, you have to appoint some of the alternates.
Okay, so we'll work through that.
Yeah.
So, good evening, everybody. I'm Lynn Wiles. I'm the Secretary of the Planning Board. Our Chairman of the Planning Board, Jake Butler, is not going to be with us tonight. He has a prior commitment. Jeff Penta, the Deputy Chairman, is in transit on his way home from commuting from Boston, so he will be showing up later. I don't have a time for when he'll show up, but I'm expecting him between 7:30 and 7:45.
Good luck, though.
Yeah, exactly. But in the meantime, I'll be calling the meeting to order. Art Rugg, the assistant, I'm the secretary. Art Rugg is the assistant secretary. I think we can run a meeting between the two of us. So if we do have some challenges, bear with us. If we have some humor,
We'll figure
bear
things
with
out.
us. But we'll figure things out. So with that said, I'd like everybody to stand and we'll recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, Mr. Acting Chair, I think we'll need to appoint our alternates for voting. So,
How many voting members do we need, or how many alternates do we need to appoint to voting members?
actually 3 of them, because we got 1, 2, 3, 4 of our regular members absent.
I think we have 3 alternates here tonight.
So, yes, yeah. So we got Tony and Steve and Ryan. So,
And even when Jeff comes, we'll be good with
Yeah.
the numbers still.
yeah, we won't fill Jeff's position, but maybe Tony can vote for Jake.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
It does not mean you're the chairman.
I understand.
And
Never assume that.
Steve
Don't
will
want it.
vote for Ann. And Ryan will vote for Jason.
Perfect.
So we have 7 voting members. We can proceed.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Art. Moving on to administrative board work, approval of minutes. Do we have any meeting minutes to approve?
Yes. I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we adopt the minutes of August 6th, 2025 as presented.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the August 6 minutes. Any discussion? Does anybody have any edits or comments that were not incorporated? In that case, all in favor of approving the August 6 minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The minutes are approved unanimously.
Actually, my math was 1 off. We got 8 voting members present. Mr. Chair, I will make a motion that we adopt the minutes of August 13th, 2025 as presented.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the August 13th minutes. Any discussion, any edits, any comments that we need to work through before we vote? With that, I'd like to take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? And the minutes from August 13th are unanimously approved. With that, moving on, discussions with staff. Kelly, anything tonight? Regional impact determinations?
None this evening, Mr. Chair.
John?
Nothing this evening.
Kristen? Okay, perfect. Anything from the board tonight?
I have one thing, and that is the Master Plan Steering Committee has a, the word just escaped me, survey on, it's online. I think it's being distributed around some of the businesses around town. And we urge town residents, business owners, take it, please. It helps us out immensely.
I have one. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, I did write after the last meeting that we had here, the last planning board meeting. I did the next day write an email to the chair and the assistant chair that I made an error at the meeting when I talked about a certain property with a the homes were selling for $950,000. I was correct on the $950,000. I was wrong on the number of square feet. It was actually 2,700 square feet, and I said repeatedly that night, 1,700 square feet. I had the listing right in front of me that clearly said 2,700 square feet, and for some reason I couldn't read it. So I apologize for that. I'll do better next time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Tony. Third item on the agenda is old business. I don't believe we have any old business to attend to tonight, so we will just keep right moving along and moving into new plans and conceptual plans. So the first item on the agenda tonight is a conceptual non-binding discussion for a site plan for a retail automotive sales business, 6 Dickey Street, map 10, lot 109, zone C2. Leon and Tamara Lampus are the owners and applicants. Welcome. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, board members. Matt Ruth here from TF Moran, and to my right is Tamara, one of the owner of the property, along with her husband Leo. So this is a site that has been operating, I believe, since 2014 as a wholesale automotive site, automotive sales. It is currently by appointment only. The proposed site plan is coming forth because there is currently no site plan on file that we're aware of when this started operation. So as part of that, we're proposing to submit a site plan showing some improvements on the lot. Currently, the lot is 0.406 acres, mostly gravel. The main driveway to the, I guess, south is paved, but it breaks from there. Currently, the cars are on what would be gravel. Part of the proposal is to go before zoning to request some relief regarding this, but it would be, in general, we would bring it up more into conformance. Part of the issues we'd be dealing with this change would be converting it to retail. Again, with the retail conversion, it again would be by appointment only, so there'd be no additional traffic. Due to the fact that this lot has never had any stormwater systems and it's minimal in nature, we're proposing to do a infiltration area at the end of the parking lot to deal with it. We did perform test bits, so it is capable of handling the stormwater. That would be an improvement over the lot currently because there is no stormwater measures in place. We would be removing one of the drives that goes out to Dickey Street on the north end, as well as adding some additional landscaping and screening for the property. The intent would be to pretty much keep maintain the residential security lighting that's there now. Pretty much consists of motion activated lights. So in general, the character of the property wouldn't change, but improvement wise, it would have more green space and become more compliant with today's zoning regulations. And with that, I'll leave it to the board for any potential comments or concerns they may have with this proposal.
So we'll go to staff first, and we'll walk through the board and get any comments from the board. So staff, John, any comments?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, again, Matt kind of summarized it pretty distinct. Again, we've been speaking with the applicant since 2014, so it's been 25 years we've been talking about this, or back to 2015, actually. Sorry. Again, it is permitted for a single-family residence. Because again, they are proposing a change in use. That's what requires them to comply with the current regulations. And as Matt indicated, there'll be a number of variances and waivers that they're gonna be requesting. If, I don't know how many people were actually on the board now, but we had a conceptual discussion back during COVID regarding this. And there was a number of waivers, and again, they couldn't put their finger on it right then and there. Sounds to me like they've retained TFM, and they're gonna have a better handle on what's gonna be required out there. That's all I have at this time.
Kelly?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just to reiterate, we've met with the applicant for several years on and off, but most recently, we met with the applicant and TFM. So really the first step that we've directed them to do is to get with our zoning administrator and finalize and formalize what specific relief from a zoning standpoint is needed. From there, the first trip is to the ZBA, and then should they get the relief that they're requesting, they would come forward with a formal site plan and go through that process, which is where this board would handle any site plan waivers that they be requesting. But just to be clear, step one would be relief from the zoning board of adjustment, then the site plan process.
Okay. Kristen? Okay, we'll go through the board and get any comments from the board. We'll start on my left. Jonathan?
I'm good.
Steve? Art?
And this is currently zoned AR1,
C2.
C2, okay. I have seen this before, I think about as long as our staff has, and I thought there would be some resolution coming. I think it must be coming now, so. I don't have any specific questions other than I think they're well aware of our regulations, so I'll let it stay at that.
Tony?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have some questions and comments, but I'd like to wait until I hear from the general public first, if that's okay, and then I'll ask my questions after that.
It's not a hearing.
Yeah, it's not a
We're
public
not gonna have a
hearing.
public hearing, okay. So the question then is, so to staff, they wouldn't be here if they kept it as a wholesale sale operation? It's only because it's a change of use that we're here? Is that true or not? Because clearly, it's an up and going business that's been going for a while, so.
So, I think over the years, there have been changes to the site that have been recognized by the town and the applicant, and they need to come into compliance.
Okay.
So that is the short version of where we're at.
So in my language, there's some enforcement issues going on right now on the site.
Correct.
Thank you. I'm good.
Giovanni?
I guess my question is, if they were a grandfathered use before, at some point in time they changed what they were previously doing in the grandfather status. They don't get their required variances and what have you. Can they still operate the way that they were operating before, so they could keep their livelihood and continue to do what they were at least doing prior to this?
The primary issue is that we don't have a record of it being approved for this use. That's the primary issue. So then it becomes an enforcement issue.
I don't know. I mean, how long have you been doing this?
Since 2014, since we bought the property.
And I would state that they obviously have the state paperwork to run their dealership, which, typically requires some kind of town approval or sign off before they get that license.
And you are in a commercial zone.
Correct, and it is zoned for auto sales.
The question lies is, what?
Can you pull the microphone down, please? So, thank you.
The question.
Huge TV audience here.
Yeah, I could see that. I brought all my fans with me. The question really is what defines a wholesale and a retail? I mean, not to go too far into it, but when we purchased the property, the town, the realtor, everybody told us it's zoned for car sales. And so that's why we purchased it. And we did come before this board in 2020, and I think Mr. Varani, you definitely were here. Mr. Rugg was here, and Mr. Wiles was here. And we spoke and said that we have a small, unconforming lot, that we do have some green space. We can make some of the things, but we're being asked by the town to do what, like, Ford of Londonderry is asked to do. And while I understand you guys have your regulations and such, we have been doing our business there. We have excellent relationships with all of our neighbors. We have letters of their approval to present to you at a later date. And we're not looking to change anything that we've been doing. A lot has changed around us, and certainly, our business has changed too, but not in the sense of the day-to-day running of the business. So the town is asking us to provide a site plan, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to meet the obligations to the town, and we're also trying to conduct business. We're a small, family-orientated business. We're trying to teach our kids self-employment, small business, and we keep running into this road. And you brought up grandfathered, talking about being grandfathered, and the new code enforcement officer who signed on for us was the defining factor of saying whether we could be grandfathered or not, which we felt like he kind of came in afterward, after we were operating, and sort of try to pull the rug from under us. So we're just trying to appease the town and keep our small business status. We're not looking to do anything crazy or change anything. We don't want to change the way the neighborhood is. We have, like I said, we have a great relationship with our neighbors. There's a lot that's going on this street, and we're just in there plugging along.
No, the only reason why I ask is I would hate to get into a situation where we don't add some element that you guys have a small family business that you're trying to run, and we're trying to then change the world underneath you and make it into such an obstacle that you can't conform, and I don't know. I'm just sympathetic to that.
We
That's all.
appreciate that. I mean, you're all invited to come by and see the lot. Like, it's a unconforming small lot that you can only have so much green space. You can, we're willing to make some of the accommodations. However, some of the variances we're going to need are a lot.
That's it.
Brad?
I don't have anything.
Tony, you have your hand up?
Thank you. So, a couple things. When you were here before this board, I was not on the board, but I was paying attention, and I remember the case. But what I don't remember is really why you were here or what the result of the fact that you were here was. At that time, as I recall, you did not present any kind of a formal plan. Is my memory correct?
No, we did provide a site plan. We've probably spent a lot of money, I'm going to say a lot of money on engineering. But when we presented it the first time, we ran into so many brick walls that we were just like, okay. And it was also COVID, and it was just a funny time. And so we were like, okay, let's just come back and see where we can go with this. So we did have plans presented, and we did hire an engineer to come. We provided a site plan. We worked with Promised Land at the time. And halfway through, they weren't able to meet their obligations with us. I think really they knew that we were in a very difficult position, and they were not feeling the professionalism to follow through with us.
So do you have that plan set,
So,
or is that on
can I
file?
just clarify, that was a conceptual only.
It was a
We've not
conceptual.
received a formal site
That's what I
plan for this
thought.
project.
Yeah, that was, thank you, I was going there.
And Tony, I think what would be very beneficial if you had the meeting minutes from that Zoom meeting, as well as the memorandum, the memo from the staff
Yeah.
outlining what the process was and what was discussed.
Got it. So a comment I want to make is, and we get this all the time, and in land planning, there's lots of different language that's tricky because it's left sometimes open to interpretation. But just because a piece of land is zoned a certain way and a business is allowed to be there, doesn't mean they can be there. It's two different things, right? Being zoned to do it is one thing, but then it has to meet all the rules and regulations for that zone, okay? So that's part of what you're running up to now. You have a non-conforming lot that's been a business. The question is it grandfathered or not? I don't know. But my knee-jerk reaction when I saw this case was coming up, and I've been to the site, I've seen the site. You might have seen my red car and thought I was a stalker or trying to steal cars or whatever, but I was there quite a few times trying to figure it out.
We're happy to hear that.
Sure, and so, but one of my things was, from an environmental standpoint, you have a lot of cars sitting on gravel. That we have regulations that don't allow that. And that was the very first thing that hit me, that we might have an environmental problem here. Not we, you. Whether that's true or not, I have no idea. I'm not a soil scientist. I just know a little bit of how our regulations work and what's allowed and what's not allowed, and I would have a problem with that part of it. The rest of it is going to be a legal wrangling that, I always lean towards grandfathering, but I don't know if it can be or not. So, thank you.
So I have a couple of questions. If,
Oh, okay,
we wanna-
you
Oh,
go,
you want?
you go. I was just gonna say, I think there's a history to this also, probably that area, because it abuts right on Dairy. Most of it grew before we had zoning. So I think what's there was existing. I know when this came before the board, I think it was 14, we had a walk at the neighborhood and everything. And it's a very tight area. There's a lot of, probably no formal plans or anything. They're just, drawn on a piece of paper, but have been operating a while. So, but I think our code enforcement had, commented, and that's the reason why it had come here. And I know they had, were working on plans anyway. We had no, formal plan to go by, but at least, conceptually. And, we figured it would take its course, going through with staff, but it hadn't, so I didn't really know what was happening or anything, but here it is. And I think having those minutes certainly would refresh my mind. Some of it's starting to come back a little bit now, thinking about it.
I have some if somebody wants to make copies. I have a couple copies.
Yeah, we have them here anyway. It's just getting to them. But I think this is it is a difficult situation. You've got an existing business. The neighborhood's been like that for a while. The neighbors never seem to have an argument about it. We haven't had the complaints or anything. So I think probably proceed through what variances you're going to need. That's really your first step, as our staff has said, and then work with the engineer to come up with a plan to see what you can do for meeting our regulations. And we do recognize that it is an existing situation. So. But I think probably the major problem is just the closeness to the highway, the tightness of everything. It would be, a lot like traffic. How many cars can you really, safely accommodate? But work at it. I'm not going to promise anything because I can't.
No, that's fair. Well, and I will reiterate, I mean, we've been there since 2014, 15, doing what we're doing. We haven't changed. Everything around us has changed, but we haven't changed. We're not looking to change. We're not looking to do anything differently than what we're doing now.
I know before you, there was something there also, so it's not.
When we bought the property, there was a gentleman in the garage that came with it. Let's put it that way.
So much better use.
We like to think so.
I would also like to state for the record that we did, because of the use and potential uses before we did dig in record search-wise for any potential environmental issues. Nothing came up in our research. Again, with this plan, it would bring it into conformance. They don't wash cars on the property. That's another thing that I'm sure people would be concerned about. And most of their cars, if I'm correct, come right from the auto auction. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So all that stuff is dealt with over there, and they just drive them over. So again, it's a small family business, and the intent is to bring it into more conformance, both zoning wise and site plan wise. That's the intent. There are obviously some issues as far as buffer separation and whatnot, but again, it is proposed to become more compliant with both site plan regulations and zoning.
So a couple of questions I have, just going through and listening to everybody else's concerns. What is the biggest difference in your mind between a retail establishment and a wholesale sales establishment?
I'm glad you asked that, because the biggest difference for us is we plan to have one business. After we purchased the property and went through the state and learned that we couldn't have retail, we said, okay, we'll do wholesale here, but we had to open up another business in another location. We have to pay rent, we have to pay double insurance, we have to pay double taxes, we have to incur double the expenses of one business by having two. That's the biggest difference. The inspector did come to us, and he did say, he said to us, like, you guys have retail business here, and we said, no, we don't. We have a wholesale business here. We have a rental. We have retail. We gave him the address. We welcomed him there to visit. And then he came back and he said to us, okay, well, since you guys are all set with the retail, and I know that, you are what you say, change your sign to say wholesale to public only. And we were like, okay, because again, we're looking to appease. We did that, and then things just changed from, pardon? We haven't gotten anywhere since then. Exactly. We've gone above and beyond, we feel like, and now we just want to do what we need to do.
What type or what level of repair and refurbishment would you be doing there?
We don't do any repairs there. We do some detailing, but usually from the auction, the cars are usually detailed.
Mm-hmm. Question for staff. It's right on Dickey Street. I think the town line's like really close. Do we have to include dairy in any discussions with this?
Not from a regional impact standpoint, at least in my view.
Yeah, just from a butter. How about with the
But
butters?
if there are, it will likely trigger the abutter radius that we now require for properties in dairy.
Okay. And there's no issues with doing that,
And we don't have any issues with our neighbors in Derry.
which is wonderful. But I would say that you may, I don't know if you have a formal lighting plan or, what your business hours are going to be. I would think that we would be looking for something along those lines to make sure you're not selling cars at 11 o'clock at night. I know you won't, but,
No,
just
we
what
don't.
your hours of operation
We,
would
we
be.
have to have a set hours of operation that we live and work by because we respect the neighborhood and our neighbors.
Yep. And lighting would fall in the same category as well. So I know lighting's a concern for everybody. John, do we know if they have water and sewer up there?
We have water,
Town water and septic?
yes.
And obviously, stormwater is going to be a concern on your part with the gravel.
Yep.
Is that something you think you'll be looking for a variance on, is not paving over?
The intent was to pave everything. If you look at the plan that's before you on the northern edge of the property, we're trying to focus the stormwater into pretty much a filter strip with permeable pavers to give it some place to go. It's all sand right now. We were able to get down pretty much 66 inches to fractured ledge. So the intent would be to manage the stormwater where right now it just kind of goes directly into the ground. So, with the addition of pavement, if there was any kind of issue of leak or oil, same as on a regular commercial parking lot, you'd be able to notice it versus directly into a gravel surface. So the intent would be pretty much to be the same amount of sales spaces as they have today, with 3 spaces for the office. And again, part of the intent would be to keep the lighting, which is currently residential type with spotlights and, motion detectors, and the intent would be to keep that. So as not to, create light trespass and do, normal commercial lighting. So that's the main focus, is not to really change the overall character, but to bring it up into compliance
Sure.
as far as site plan regulations and zoning goes, while at the same time trying to be, cognizant of their budget being a small business.
Sure. And what's the approximate square footage of the gravel parking area?
It is probably about larger than it is now. I didn't include the existing condition plans, but we are pulling everything in on the western side and the southern side, which is adjacent to the restaurant. As I said before, there's currently a driveway on the northern edge of the property that actually goes into the neighbor's property that is being removed. That is gravel, so that will be pulled off. So overall, the impervious will be reduced considerably because it's pretty much a stone pack
Sure.
material.
It looks like the property record showed as being 4/10 of an acre in total as it is. So, I mean, it's not a big piece of property by any means. Any other comments from the board?
I have one more question.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When you said that when you bought the property, it came with a mechanic, which is...
Or, I don't know if he did mechanics
I
or
understand.
body.
I understand. I just following up. When you bought the property, did you do a Phase 1 assessment on the
What's that mean?
ground?
It's a phase 1 environmental assessment. Typically, you buy it before, or do it before you purchase to make sure it's clean of any environmental issues.
No.
And you haven't done that since? Okay.
We've started it because I knew it would be a potential, so we did the research on it and didn't come up with any kind of records of anything in the vicinity. We didn't formalize or finalize it, but we did go through all the research and records available because there are individuals in our office who do that, and we felt it would be best to get ahead of the...
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate that, and that question had to be asked and answered, because it's gonna come up again, probably, but,
Yeah, and that's why we did it, because we knew it would come up.
yeah, thank you.
I got one other question or suggestion. If there is any concern, I heard Mr. Chairman say, like, hours of operations and things like that, you may want to include that on your site plan
Yep.
when you get here, just to alleviate any concerns like that when you're
I
here?
believe they're currently called out on the conceptual. I mean, pretty much at this point, we've gone through this, then designed it, so now we just gotta go to zoning to try to gain the relief, so.
Yeah. I
All
wish-
those things are
wish you luck
included
with
on
that.
there as far as hours.
Thank you.
So for me, hearing it, just speaking as probably a board member, not the chairman, because I'm not the chairman, but I think having support of your neighbors is huge, number one. And I think nailing down some of the things that would affect your neighbors, such as hours of operation and lighting, and even stormwater runoff, I think is going to be critical in making this happen. But I'm not sure what else you're looking for from us. I think generally, are we looking at being supportive of the plan going forward? I know there's going to be some ZBA hurdles that you're going to have to jump over, but I don't think I'm hearing anything.
No, I think it's to continue along, work with staff. They're going to be the most helpful for you.
Absolutely.
And the staff has been very helpful.
Good.
I think too, from an understanding standpoint, both for you, the person to your left understands what I'm gonna say, but there's a bunch of people sitting behind you that aren't gonna necessarily understand this, or the people watching on TV tonight, that we as a board, because it's a non-conforming lot, we know that it's gonna be almost impossible to conform with the town regulations. And so, as a board, we're gonna have to, at some point, either say, yes, we can live with not following that regulation, or not, one way or the other. And that's gonna happen a lot, there's gonna be a lot that's gonna come before us here, and you're gonna have this discussion with the person that you hired about that as well. We're gonna have to, I really don't wanna use this word, but we're gonna have to forgive a lot of the regulations in order for that business to happen on that site. We know it's allowable. The question is, can it perform? And the answer is no, it can't. It's impossible because it's non-conforming. By definition, it cannot. So there's gonna be a lot of things that by majority rule here are gonna have to say, well, we're okay with not meeting that rule. We're okay with not meeting that, or well, if you do that, we can give up that. And so there's gonna be things like that happening after you get past CBA. All right, so.
Absolutely.
Understand that that's what you're up against, and that's what we're up against as a board, trying to figure out what's the right thing to do here? What's the best thing for the environment? What's the best thing to do for the neighbors? What's the best thing to do from a standpoint of our rules and regulations? And those are all the things that we deal with on this side of the table, so.
Right.
Welcome to the process.
Well, we like I said, we've already been before this board and have tried to, hold up our end of the bargain. So we're still, we still want to do that, and and I'm going to reiterate, nothing is going to change what we're doing. Like we've said to Matthew, really, for us, it's just the ability to release some of the other responsibility that we have with the other business, because like I said, we're being double, everything is double for us, and it's hard to survive, especially with the economy the way it is right now, with trying to balance it all. So it's definitely a hardship for us.
Any other questions for us? Okay, I think to reiterate Mr. Rugg's point, work with staff. I think, you've heard our concerns, our questions. I think generally, we're supportive of your project, and I'd like to see it go forward.
Thank you. We
Thank you.
appreciate that. Thank you very
you.
much.
And with that said, our Assistant Chair, Mr. Jeff Penda, arrived during that discussion, so I'm going to turn the reins of the meeting over to Jeff for the rest of the evening.
Thank you, Lynn, for navigating that. Just a quick housekeeping, Mr. Rugg, did you appoint a replacement for me?
No,
Okay,
we left it open, Jeff.
perfect.
There are no replacements for you, Jeff.
As soon as it was Boston traffic, it was like, oh, no. I've been there too, so it's,
Fun times.
Oh, yes.
Fun times.
The official
Okay, now
tour.
you're official.
Now you're official.
No, there we go. All right.
can gavel
Thanks,
me.
all, and I apologize for my tardiness. All right. So next on our agenda is a public hearing on a request for waivers from the Londonderry Site Plan Regulations LSPR 3.07.c.1 to allow more than a full pipe flow between structures in the town of Londonderry. Typical details for site and roadway infrastructure exhibit D108, 4 Nashua, and 6 Londonderry Road. Map 10, lots 118 and 121, zone commercial 2. C2 and Town of Derry, New Hampshire tax map 26, lot 53, Wyndham Realty Limited Company and Wyndham Realty LLC, who's the owner and applicant. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
So, just to kind of,
Mr. Chair, could I add a few comments before you get going?
sure,
So just as a reminder to the board, this project was conditionally approved in March of this year. So again, the site plan itself has a conditional approval with a number of conditions associated with said approval. So the applicant's currently working through that process. While working through that process, the applicant made the determination that they need or would like to seek additional waivers, which are the 2 waivers before you this evening. As the board is familiar with this process, staff does not have the authority to waive site plan regulations, which is why, even though it is conditionally approved, it needs to come back to you for your review and decision. So this evening, again, you're not considering the site plan application itself. You've done that. You're specifically focusing on the 2 waiver requests, and I'm sure the applicant will provide their justification. It's also in your packet.
excellent. Yeah, and thank you, Kelly. So just to kind of reiterate, just from a flow standpoint, we've already accepted this for approval or for complete, we already accepted the application for completeness and such, so we don't have to act on that. All right, gentlemen, do you want to kind of provide your presentation? And
Sure.
then we'll get comments from the staff, board question and answer, open the public hearing, and then board deliberation.
When we were here and got conditional approval, we did have discussions related to the stormwater basin, which was discussed as being pretty much a wet pond, not a normal detention pond. At the time, it was discussed that due to the ledge located on the property, we had challenges related to getting enough storage for the stormwater, as well as the discharge point located along Londonderry Road. In that discussion previously before the board, we talked about how the drainage structures in the 25-year would be full simply because there's not enough site relief on the property. The drainage is running about as flat as you can get. This is all necessitated by the discharge point, like I said, on Londonderry Road, where we're trying to tie in our outlet control structure. Again, because this stormwater basin is considered a wet pond, it maintains a permanent pool, thus limiting storage that's standard with a typical detention pond. We did originally have some slope issues that we were dealing with some potential mechanically stabilized earth walls adjacent to it. those ended up being, I believe, above the requirement for, or considered a structure. So as we went back through this, we revised that to comply, the slopes to comply with, the height requirement for zoning as well as the riprap requirement for 2-to-1 slopes. So as part of the waiver request, you know, typically is a 4-foot wide berm that's around each basin. This would not have that, but would have access to the outlet control structure, which is less than 20 feet from the edge of the parking lot. And again, the pipes for this particular project are full, but there's no modeling showing that there's any danger of icing or those actually coming out of the drainage structures that are proposed. Those are the requests before you. Our client did want me to just get the board's take. We had originally proposed a 8-foot fence, decorative fence, to mimic the stone type patio next door. The client would like to get the board's input whether that could be changed to a standard vinyl, white vinyl fence at 8 feet and planted with arborvitaes in lieu of the stone faced type fence. The belief is that the arborvitaes are going to provide more height as they grow in front of it, and the belief is that the fence will almost become invisible once those arborvitaes are for you. So that's what's before you as the board as the waivers on the drainage. Again, they were discussed and brought up previously, but they were not able to be applied for at the time of the previous hearing. Thus the reason we're here before you again.
Thank you. I'm going to go to staff. Kelly.
So just to reiterate, procedurally, you're considering the 2 waiver requests, and all, so that's what you're considering this evening. With respect to the other conditions associated with the conditional approval, those would remain in accordance with that March notice of decision. That's all I have.
John.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, it's my opinion that this isn't ready for conditional approval this evening. I think one of the biggest issues out there is that they're trying to put too much impervious on that site. Like as Matt indicated, they had to redesign things. And again, by him having so much impervious on that site, that's why that system is surcharged like it is. I don't think that some of the detention pond as indicated on that plan is constructible. I think they're gonna run into problems. We're gonna be back here again when they, just looking at what our comments are. So that's my point right now. I'm not gonna get into, but I think it can be redesigned, and maybe there needs to be some reduction on the impervious out there.
Thank you, John.
Yep.
All right. So I'm going to open it up for questions from the board. Question.
You're gonna start at one end, or you just random?
Whoever puts their hand up first, I'm an equal opportunity.
So I just
Person,
had a question
teller.
of John. How much of a redesign would this,
Well, we keep talking about there's ledge out there. There's ways of, I know this engineering firm they know how to blast ledge and make volume, make that permanent pond. But even when they do that, again, it's because there's too much being proposed out there. So they can make the pond deeper to make the permanent pond like he keeps referring to. But then as you put the pond deeper, you're still gonna have some side slopes to it. And that's where he runs into problems because he's limited by the amount of impervious out there.
so to really design the drainage pond correctly, it's gonna need more room?
This is similar to Village on Technology Hill. We're trying to put too much out there, in my opinion.
Tony?
So, we're not allowed to talk about the fence that they asked about?
You can discuss it. They have not formally submitted any relief or waiver. I think they were, my understanding is they're asking for your input on that change.
Informally? Or it would have to be in, they would have to,
I would like
that
to
in
talk,
writing?
I would like to actually, kind of focus what's on the agenda
That's
item.
fine.
First,
Yeah.
and then,
that works for me. I have a question for staff, John. The 4-foot wide berm
Yep,
around the ponds keeps coming back to us and slapping us in the face.
correct.
And so, I was thinking today, as I was driving past a wholesale car lot in Londonderry, but almost in Derry, that wondering what the spirit of the rule was for the 4-foot berm all the way around.
To be able to maintain it. If you go to the grading plan on this, the
Yeah.
grading goes right to the abutting property line. So again, Matt indicated you can have access to the sediment forebay, which is great, and the discharge, and the outlet control structure, which is great, but it's also to have access to the slopes themselves, so that it can be maintained.
The
We have other
the
large
outside
facilities,
the outside slopes.
also, but the interior slopes as well.
Well,
So if you
interior
look at
slopes,
this-
you can hire a diver and you can take care of that. It's not,
Yeah.
I used to do that. That's how I know. But, yeah, I was just curious.
That's what the intention is.
Thank you. And so, the other thing is when I first saw this, I think we got it like 2 weeks ago, and I was just flipping through it, trying to watch a Little League baseball game that I wasn't interested in. It seemed like the phrase "more than full pipe flow" just, I started giggling because it's either full or it's not going through, or there's so much flow that the pipe comes out the ground. It actually
Water comes out of
it lifts
the grate.
it lifts the pipe up.
Comes out of the grate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, that seemed to be a problem to me, but, and then I came across a phrase that I've used in other, for other applicants, was that this is a private site, not open to the general public. And then I got to, well, okay, that's fine, so if they make a mess out of their site, they're gonna have to live with it. But then I started thinking about water and conversations John and I have had in the past about a problem on one site draining into someone else's land, which is something that we absolutely cannot allow. And it just seemed to snowball into a mess. And so, I don't know what to do about this. I don't know what to say.
The other
Thank you,
thing that
Mr. Chair.
you're
Thanks,
gonna
Tony.
start seeing though too, Tony, is that, oh, well, they should be maintaining this in accordance with the regulations. Well, they don't. Let's be honest. We have another site that's what the predicament is. Was never maintained. Was it ever built like it should have been? No idea.
I have a question for you gentlemen. Could you just kind of explain again why you are unable to meet the town standard for this drainage?
It's not unusual. Well, I guess my answer would be this: it's not unusual to have surcharge pipes in storm events due to lack of topographic relief. You know, when you're running a pipe at the minimum slope of, say, 0.005%, it's not uncommon if you don't have 8 feet drop at the end of the pipe for it to freely discharge. You know, that case is going to be controlled either way, no matter what we do, by the simple fact that the outlet on Londonderry is only 4 feet different from our highest point. So we had gotten waivers for pipe cover and everything to deal with that, and the challenge is there's not you're talking about a flat site. The topographic relief is little to none. Everybody always hopes that you can get it to freely discharge. That's not always the case. Stormwater ponds fill up in different storm events and surcharge the pipes. And again, until enough head pressure pushes through from those drainage structures to push out into the pond, or there's enough elevation change, then you get the relief. As I stated, the structures do not top out, and neither does the pond come anywhere close to flooding the property in a 50-year or even 100. We verified that. So it's just a matter of the topographic issues that are related to it. And again, because of the proximity to, residential houses and stuff, we don't want to be going in there and blasting out a ton of ledge, which is just, to me, problematic for that type of neighborhood. If we can hammer out enough ledge to get the storage, and again, with the wet pond, you're getting treatment because it's allowing things to settle out, as well as the forebay, which is pre-treatment. That's a better option than trying to go deeper, which we can't. The slopes are maintainable. They're 3-to-1, which are mobile slopes. And again, not typically a problem for an excavator to go down on a slope with a 3-to-1. I mean, it's done all the time. So this is the reason that the waivers are in front of you.
So, if I heard this correctly, and members of the board, please correct me, applicant as well. What you're proposing is a potential solution to reduce the neighborhood impact, particularly with blasting. Is that kind of what you were saying?
Yes, it's been designed to take into the consideration that we have ledge about 5 feet below the surface elevation in that area. So again, without blasting a huge hole and excavating, out and creating, potential issues for butters due to the tight neighborhood, we're dealing with it in the way that we feel is the most, efficient based on the situation and circumstances that are there. This property already has a pond out front, which, is similar in nature as far as depth. Obviously, that one we believe drains. We didn't, it's operating and functioning. It's been, I believe, for the most part, maintained and dealt with. And this is a similar situation, except it's again, a different pond because of the fact where we have no way to under drain the pond because of elevation and ledge. And again, that's tied into the outlet out in Londonderry Road. So we can't let it just infiltrate. We have to dam it up to some degree to create the type of treatment that, it should have, as opposed to getting treatment as it percolates through the ground and whatnot. So that's the situation we're facing here, why it's different than, the other pond, and again, why we have surcharge of the pipes in the 25-year storm event. But like I said, none of those structures nor the pond, are of concern in a bigger storm event. Again, it's not if you were to think about down south where you have little to no relief, it's not unusual for storm structures to be surcharged. It happens on a lot of sites we deal with simply because you could have 1,000-foot run of pipe, with different structures, but you're running so flat to try to get to the lowest point that you could possibly get with groundwater or ledge that is an issue that happens. So it does stay, surcharged and built up in the pipe for a certain amount of time, and it just acts as pieces of that pond. And only is it typically concerned if it comes out of those structures to create icing or flooding issues.
So, thank you. John, follow-up question on that. The solution that they're proposing, obviously, it's against our town standards. I mean, that's established. But what it potentially might have some risk down the road, excuse me being naive here, the pipe kind of kind of expanding out or kind of
The pipe would
elevating.
never become buoyant.
What was that?
The pipe would never become buoyant. What you guys are referring to is
Yes,
popping
yep,
out of the ground.
there we go.
It would never become buoyant.
Okay.
What ends up happening is that pipe is surcharged, all the sediments start accumulating in it, and the pipe does not function as it should.
So it accumulates in the pipe?
Correct. Yeah, there is sumps in the structures, but again, over time, if they're not maintained, that's where the sediment
But
will
isn't there
accumulate.
sufficient flow through the pipe to bring
Correct.
any sediment along?
Quite often, we talk about velocities, 2
Yes.
feet per second, so those are the cleansing velocities. So again, with that, the water is just sitting there, it doesn't have any velocity, right?
So,
Johnny?
Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kelly or John, how does, from what was approved and what they're asking for the variance from the approval, how does this differ?
When he got the conditions of the approval, John, they had to, again, because one of the questions was always about the retaining wall in the detention pond, and when he finally got the determination, he had to redesign everything. So it kind of ballooned into more issues.
Okay, so,
So can I just clarify that a little further? So the expectation
Please.
with the conditional approval is for them to comply with these two regulations as
Yeah.
they're written.
yeah,
So that's why they're back here. Now, to John's point, that was still the expectation regardless of the determination on the wall. However, like John said, the wall then created some additional improvements, I'll call them for lack of a better word, that triggered these two requests to come forward.
okay.
Is that?
Yeah.
So, John, then, like, what do you think they found in the field that didn't allow them to conform to that?
To conform with what?
Like, was the ledge higher than expected? Was,
Matt's saying they suspect it to be at 5 feet.
yeah, and what was it at?
I would just like to clarify the surcharge of the pipes and the outlet structure were known at the last hearing when we got conditional approval. It was brought to this board's attention. The only change that has occurred since was the 4-foot berm around the pond, which we need relief from because of the walls. What are considered walls because they were above the 3 feet. So originally we had a slope stabilization that was allowed the 4-foot path around the outside, and then when it was determined that because it was they're earthen filled bags that are then hydroseeded and create green versus a typical structural wall, when those were determined to be of concern regarding building setbacks, we had to redesign, thus changing how we got 2-to-1 slopes and stepping those bags to be less than 3 feet high. So that pushed in on the perimeter of the basin. The basin overall didn't particularly change, and the pipes were surcharged at the time when we came before this board last time.
So,
So that didn't
define
change.
surcharge, I mean, like.
Surcharge
less-
means it's backing up into the pike and into the structure, so it's not free flowing. It's not like,
So when you reference allow more than full pipe
Correct.
flow, so
typically
before we understood that that was already the case.
that was already the case before. Like I said, that didn't change. It was discussed before this board simply because we got comments, 30 minutes before the hearing, so I wanted to make sure it was on the record. So I did talk about that, and I did talk about the outlet structure. So those things didn't change regardless of the change to the wall. The only thing that changed was the reduction or removal of the 4-foot wide path around the edge of the pond. So design-wise, when we looked at it before and went back, there was no possible way to make it work. It didn't, the way it was and was noted by staff comments and Stantec's comments in the previous years.
So then, what you're asking for is, you can't accomplish the 4, you wanna bring it down to what?
There is no perimeter around, there is no perimeter,
So 4 to nothing.
correct, because the access to the pond is within 10 to 15 feet from the edge of the parking lot, which allows a truck to get and back out the outlet structure. Again, part of the requirement with the town and the MS4 is inspection and maintenance, which is required. As discussed with John, we know that without the cleansing velocities, it's gonna require more maintenance, but, you know, the I&M requirement is something that a lot of, unless it's a newer site, aren't doing. With the site plan approval, it's part of the record, and they're supposed to keep records and submit to the town. So with that, we anticipate that, you know, these are gonna be maintained. It's not like previous old approvals that, you know, didn't have that caveat. Now, going forward, all these are supposed to, in theory, be providing, you know, records to them so they can provide, you know, have it for EPA conversations and meeting the standard, so.
So, so the more than full pipe flow between structures was, we understood that when we granted the approval last time.
It wasn't as much.
It wasn't as much?
It wasn't as
How do
much
you
because
get
now the
more
permanent-
than full pipe?
Now the permanent pond has been raised about 15 inches
Okay, why?
because of.
Well, with the change of the slopes, we had to, I'm just trying to think back to how it ended. We had to change the contours, was then change the permanent pool, because originally we had the wall right, you know, like right there. So we had a little more freeboard to deal with, and by changing the slopes to make them grade down to it, at the 2-to-1 with the riprap, you know, it forced things down, which made me have to adjust.
So there's less
elevation.
freeboard on it, basically?
The freeboard is met. It, again, just a matter of the pipe was surcharged before. If it went up more, it's, yeah, that's quite possible, but it's still the same scenario of being surcharged. It was
What's the
surcharged.
likelihood of it overflowing
What's that?
in a 100-year storm? Or,
Nothing pops out and nothing overflows.
yeah. And it has nothing to do with the fact that there's some sort of cost savings measure, I mean, outside of reducing impervious,
It's cost savings.
well, with the impervious, or like,
Reducing
what I'm
the
trying to get at is this a way to get around blasting a little bit deeper? Or,
You physically couldn't blast deeper because all you're doing is narrowing out, you know, you're narrowing the area. You know, what we're trying to do with the wet pond is you try to take the longest, create a longest path from inlet to outlet so you get more treatment time as it runs out. So I'm making pretty much a snake of a basin. So going deeper, is not gonna do anything because I'm limited by my space on the exterior for the slopes.
okay, and then, so basically, if you had to conform, you'd have to knock down on your impervious area on the,
That's correct.
okay.
And you know, how much that's gonna affect it, I don't know, because you know, it's unknown how much impervious would have to be removed in order to get it to that point, because like I said, the problem is,
Do you have a ballpark?
I don't, because we
I mean,
just
is it
don't
the
have
size
the
of
relief.
this room, or
So that's just not an option?
would they prefer
Well,
not to do it?
part of the issues.
No, I
we-
understand
no.
that, but I mean, to
Part
meet
of the
standard,
issues, we
it's-
just don't.
everything's an option.
Yeah, part of the issues, like I said, we don't have the topographic relief. You know, this pond is furthest away from the outlet. You know, it's as far as you can get from connecting to Londonderry, where, you know, the existing pond is like right adjacent to it.
And
in front of
and the answer is how much of the impervious we have to cut into, correct?
That would be the question, yes. It's unknown how much that would impact, but again, that impacts their whole.
I think that's an answer we
scenario.
kind of need.
Sounds like an engineering,
That sounds like an answer, 100%. That's an answer we need.
I want to unpack the cleansing velocity. Your proposal is eliminating that, and could you just kind of explain what the maintenance plan is?
Standard maintenance is inspection of the structures in the spring and fall, which is standard routine. to remove sediment. It's typically verified by the depth of the sediment in the catch basins. As far as the sump, this, you know, the typical is 2 feet per second to keep sediment moving, which ultimately would end up in the sediment vorebay either way. So again, it's the sediment is all caught, whether it be in the catch basin or in the forebay, and with the, you know, increased or required inspection and maintenance, they're going to be required to vacuum out those things on a regular basis. So sediment may build up in the pike. Again, if you have a 25-year storm event, and the other events, you know, it's not going to be surcharged. So it may get washed out in a different storm versus the 25. You know what I'm saying? So it all varies based on the elevation of that pond at the time.
And that's a professional engineering opinion.
Yeah.
That it just would.
Yeah, you get
it
different.
Could happen, or
yeah, you
it
get
couldn't.
different storm events. So you're going to have free-flowing flow at certain events, and you know, with the rains that we get lately, you get 2 to 3 inches in a matter of, I don't know, half hour. You know, that's going to move through that pretty quick, because those sumps are always going to be filled with water, regardless, if not sediment.
Tony, did you have something else?
Yeah, I mean, I'm back to the fact that it's a private site that the general public has zero access to. In the event that the site changed hands, if it was a different use, it would have to come back here anyway.
Right.
And so, I mean, to me, if the pipe doesn't clean itself and it backs up onto their private site that public has no access to, they're gonna either buy waders, or they're gonna call a cleaning company and vacuum the thing out, or push it through with a
Right.
vacuum, or whatever, however they're gonna do it, and decide how they wanna do it. I also wanna clarify for people listening that when you make something deeper, when you make the bottom deeper, most of the time you have to make the top wider, correct? Which uses up space, more land. So it's not, you don't have a tomato can going straight down that you can buy a bigger tomato can that has straight down sides. When you do this, you gotta go back that way on the top. So,
That's only if you're dealing with overburden though, Tony. If you're dealing with
correct.
ledge, you can have a straight,
if it's,
side.
So this is.
if it's ledge, you can make a container.
So we're in the public. This is obviously a public hearing. We haven't heard from the public yet.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions from the board for the applicant or to town staff before I open it up to the public? And then we can move into deliberations after the public hearing. All right, seeing none. I will now open up this agenda item for public comment. Does anyone from the public wish to make any remarks on this proposal? Seeing none, I will close public comment and move the board into deliberations. All right. We were starting to get into our deliberative state before, so folks, what do we want to do here?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Deputy Chair, Vice Chair, I think I've heard enough.
Doctor, right?
I believe there's enough, Jeff. I think there's an engineering solution out there, and I support staff's position at this point in time that they work toward that engineering solution.
I feel the same way. There is an engineering solution. You know, I think we need to take a look at the amount of impervious surface there. That relates to the amount of water you're gonna have going into the system. So that could be the control of the whole thing.
I think we should wait I think that we need to make John happy. I think that John doesn't like the plan, and
Not
Well, we
making
don't-
John happy, Ryan. It's
no, meaning like follow the rules and just, I know you have some concerns, so.
Thank you.
Well, that's so that's definitely a great point there. I know as a board we do have the authority, the statutory authority to judge these things impartially. So we definitely want to maintain that.
The only thing I will say is that we gotta be cognizant of the fact that we already allowed them an approval at full pipe flow. So, we shouldn't, am I wrong on that?
No, they're asking
And
for
I
a
believe that's
waiver.
incorrect because
Came with-
although it was presented that way, the condition of approval is to comply with the regulation. So they would need to adjust the plan accordingly.
Right.
So although it was
All right,
pointed out and
if I'm-
presented that way,
If
the
I'm wrong with
condition is
that,
that.
You're wrong.
thank you. John, you take great
But
pride in
I just
telling
want to
me
make
that.
sure that's clear. It was discussed at that meeting, but the approval,
I'm just saying,
This
in
is
fair, what I was trying to say is that we shouldn't make them re-engineer it to higher standards than what we already approved it at.
and I'm saying you're not changing your expectation from March.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that to follow up on that, I think my opinion is that night we approved it subject to additional engineering being supplied to town staff. And then when that happened, it kicked back here because it didn't work out the way everyone was thinking. Does that make sense?
Well, it
That-
does.
that
I
was
just,
my- that was my
I
understanding.
just want to say, you know, if it was approved at this level, we don't need to re-engineer it to a higher level
No, I
afterwards.
think, I'm confident that some more stuff had to be given to town staff, the town engineer, and when those calculations were made, things changed. Is that a fair assessment?
It was a comment that needed to be addressed as a order of
Sure.
conditions.
So I think what I'm hearing is if the exercise was done of here's how it can be fixed, but we don't want to do that. If we take out X number of square feet of asphalt, this is what the calculations look like now. I think if that exercise was done, that would help the board make a decision. I'm speaking for me, I'm making assumptions on what I'm hearing, a little bit. I know it's expensive to do that, but I think it would be helpful to have that information to help us make a more informed decision. That's one person's opinion.
Understood. You know, if it's the town's position that a 1-to-1, you know, ledge slope is appropriate on the inside of a basin, which I don't feel it is acceptable, you know, there's the option to do that. I mean, again, I just want to reiterate to the board that, you know, because of the design of this pond, you're doing typically a 3-to-1, you know, 3-to-1 length versus width. So removing pavement may help, but we also have the relief issue. And so I can't sit here and say that if we go back and look at it, it doesn't, you know, the only way to solve it is rip out 90% of the pavement, which at that point makes this project unviable. So,
But yeah, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. If that's what it comes back at,
right.
that helps us make a decision.
Yeah.
I think,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is that,
So-
I think that's where we're going. So if I guess it's really just do additional if you can do additional calculations and let us know what that looked like, so that we can say that's unreasonable, or that's reasonable, or whatever right now, we don't have anything to go on. We're just guessing, right?
Sure.
So-
We can easily put the numbers in, reducing pavement and see what it pops up as, but you know, as I said, I think it's still gonna be a challenge because of relief that we're dealing with. You know, where if the 4-bay was able to be up higher and just free drain,
Then it'd
then
be easy.
then it would work.
Then, yeah.
But
Life's never perfect.
So it sounds
right?
like there's an engineering solution in there, so I'd like to entertain a motion for this item.
Mr. Chair, I will make a motion that we table this to
How much time would you need?
probably the first Wednesday in October.
couple days to determine if it's feasible.
I would suggest,
town staff.
that they look at the rest of the comments too, because there's some concerns, like I said, the constructability of that pond in the vicinity of lot 116. Again, some of the contour lines they go away, so you need to blow that up to a readable scale. Right now, you just can't make sense of whether or not it can even be constructed.
Do we have those comments, Sean?
Hold on.
Yeah.
Kelly?
So just, I think you need to be clear what the board's asking for in order to make your decision on the 2 waivers. If it's something smaller in scale, like the minor exercise from what I'm understanding, that you're asking the applicant to go through, then it sounds like you could continue this to next week's meeting if it only takes a couple of days. If it's something more than that, then you should consider continuing it to October.
He needs to do the calculations, and they need to be reviewed to make sure that they make sense.
Yeah, there may be some back and forth.
Wait, back and forth between the applicant, staff and applicant. Right. So there's a motion on the table. Art, could you just repeat that again?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I move that we table this discussion until the first Wednesday in October. Is that October 6th?
It's October
It's the first.
1st.
October, oh,
So we're tabling.
oh,
yeah.
yes.
So we'll be
Yes.
tabling the discussion, but we also, for what? We're tabling it so that staff and the applicant can work on it. It seems like
I think
it
we
seems like
need-
we're at an impasse here.
I think we need further engineering on it, you know, so we have some
So
definite
can I
numbers.
add a couple things, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
So they're before you for a waiver because we've gone through the exercise between the applicant and staff, and it hasn't met the standard of the conditions of approval, which is what staff is upholding. If the board needs additional information for the 2 waivers, you should be specific as to what you're looking for. Because otherwise, we're gonna be in the same situation.
Do we know what we want?
I think.
Like,
what-
no, I'm like
what I
serious.
heard-
Like, do we like know? Like, if I can get like an actual motion to say either I'm at a point where I'm just like, let's just put in town standard. I think we go down this road all the time and we try to but if I'm hearing that that the applicant is just not meeting the town standards, and I'm not really hearing anything that's
I think my question is what reduction in impervious surface would make it more acceptable? There must be, you know, like 90% less, 87% less. To me, it's part of the equation. Develop an equation, you know, you can solve it. So if I know, you know, let's say if we reduce it to 90% impervious surface, you can meet the standards. That's all we need to know.
Yeah,
But
and I'd
it's-
like to see this like, almost like a sliding scale, so we're gonna,
Yes.
we're gonna
I
remove,
think it's more of a mathematical exercise than, you know, which way does the water flow or anything.
What I heard the staff say is that they've already done it. And what I heard the board say tonight, what's that?
it's for us. Not for
Right,
them.
right. So they already know, and they've talked through this. And what I heard a lot of the folks on the board say tonight was that they wanted to get an idea of what that is, so we can measure, like, does that justify waiving it, or does it blow away, you know, to make the site unusable? And should we work with them on it? Is that right?
Yeah, like we do with a lot of things and a lot of the different rules and regulations and ordinances and, not ordinances, but rules and regulations. We make exceptions all the time based on what's reasonable and what's not reasonable, right? So the question is, I would guess this site is not usable in the way they want to use it because it doesn't meet the drainage standard. And will never meet the drainage standard if they do what they want to do. Question is, how much can they show us how unreasonable we're being or not? Right?
Yeah,
I think-
because-
Yeah, that's right.
I think that's really where we're at. Come back and give us something that we can look at to say, okay, if we meet the rule, this 100,000 square foot site can only have 2 parking spots of tar. And then we say, well, that's unreasonable. Or, you know, or anything in between. So my suggestion would be that we don't have enough knowledge to tell you how to go about it, other than to say, we want you to come back with some kind of a sliding scale of.
Show
if-
the impact.
If we do this, this is what the flow is gonna look like. If we do this, this is what the flow is gonna look like. If we tink down in that pond and can come out with a absolutely cubic, piece of granite that will hold 100,000 gallons of water, this is what, you know what I'm saying? Something that we can get our teeth into.
Because otherwise, right now, we're just left to draw our own conclusions as to what it is
Right.
you're asking.
That's a
waiver
good point.
from.
Yeah, we just want to see that it's unreasonable, and here's why.
Matt, you have the comments?
Are those new?
These are September 3rd.
I do not.
It was posted and sent. I'll resend it to you.
So you might want to look at those, because again, I think we're gonna run into the same situation, like, why are you back here now?
Right.
So you've told them that, you know, you can't do it or whatever, and you still can't even build a pond.
Yeah, like I said, I think that the biggest challenge is gonna be topography without carving a.
So that's
But
fine,
also being able
and
to
that's fine,
fit it
whatever
on
the
that
challenge,
parcel.
yeah, folks, let's bring it back. We need to understand the impact. It needs to be in writing, and it needs to be in front of us before we discuss it. Kelly, is that as clear as we can make it?
Clear? Yeah. So
Okay,
you got a motion on the table, you discussed, you need a second.
to discuss it.
Second.
Second by Ryan. Oh, nice, Ryan, you're, awesome. That's your first one, right?
Yeah.
Great. Congrats. All right,
He's
sorry
on the
about
record
that.
now, it's official.
Bring out the cake.
All right. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. So thank you, folks. I appreciate that time.
Thank you.
Gotta get some candles for Ryan, first time in the minute.
I had to beat Sean this time. He's quick with the second.
All righty. Thank you. So next up,
Lots of practice.
is a public hearing on an application for a lot line adjustment to adjust the lot line between 2 parcels, 31 Litchfield Road and 39 Litchfield Road. Tax map 12, lots 11-5 and 16 zoned AR1. Vicky M. Eden Revocable Trust and Gail Seekins is the owners and applicants. And if I am correct, Kristen, you are, or Kristen, I'm sorry, you are driving this from the staff standpoint?
Right.
Excellent. Okay. So, but before we even get to that point, we have to vote on completeness of the application. My understanding is there's several checklist items that require a waiver, so potentially recommend that a vote to accept as complete for acceptance purposes only.
Chair, I will make a motion that we waive following items for acceptance purposes only. This would be on the memo dated September 3rd, 2025, from Kristen, and it will be numbers 1 through 6.
Second that.
All right. Motion and a second by Ryan. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. All right, thank you. All right. Applicant all set to present.
I think Ryan is totally empowered now. We might have to hold him back a little.
You make the next motion, Ryan.
You all set to go?
All set, thank
Okay.
you.
My name's Eric Mitchell. My office prepared these plans, and with me also is Jeffrey Eaton. He's one of the owners. This property is, not property, the application is for a lot line adjustment between two parcels. Jeffrey owns one, and Ruth Seekins owns another one. The two parcels are both on tax map 12. Lot 11-15 is the, Gail Seekins. It's her lot, and lot 16 is in the Eaton Trust. They're both on Litchfield Road. The lot line adjustment is to take 2.37 acres from the Seekins lot and add it to the Eaton lot. And what that would do is that it would take the lot area from Seekins, which is 29.5, and it would make it afterwards 27.13. And on the Eaton lot would get larger. Currently, it's 11.34, and it'll become 13.71. So, all that being said, we're taking a little over 2.37 acres from the Seekins lot, and adding it to the Eaton lot. The Eaton lot has 336 feet of frontage, and the Seekins lot has 162 feet of frontage. The Eaton lot has an existing single-family house on it. The Seekins lot, which is the large lot, is vacant. That was part of a subdivision approval back in 2015 by this board to subdivide frontage lot and leave the remainder, and I think there may have been some lot lines adjusted on that too. The plan was approved by the board on the Seekins lot, but it was not, the house has not been built on it. The house on the Eaton lot was built in 2022, and that was with an approved septic system. The lot was existing at the time, so there wasn't any requirements for approvals by the planning board. We have asked for waivers, as was indicated. Those general waivers are primarily checklist items because this is a lot line adjustment and 2 acres is going from one big lot to another big lot. We're not creating any new house lots. We're not creating any new septic systems or anything else like that. So we've asked for waivers, not to have to do wetlands delineation, the whole site, showing the conservation district, and do a high-intensity soil survey. The owner's signature is on the plans as required, and we will have that as a condition of approval to do that. Gail Seekins lives out of state, and so to get the plans down to her to do that takes a little bit, but we'll get that for the final. There's also a waiver for the plan scale to allow 1 inch equals 100 feet. The typical is 1 inch equals 40 feet, and that might require 2 or 3 sheets just to do this lot line adjustments. All the information is adequately shown on 1 sheet, and so to save space in everybody's storage area, including the registry in the town and my office, 1 sheet seems to work out well. So that is, another one of the waivers. And with that, I know that there's some comments that have been, I saw online that I looked up and saw, and I'm willing to answer any questions that the board might have.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Before we get to questions for the board, staff have any comments? Kristen?
Just what was in the memo.
John, you don't have any comments on it?
Under design review items, item number 1, the indicated right-of-way along the Litchfield Road at lot 11-5 appears to be less than 25 feet from the center line of the road, existing roadway pavement. We understand that we typically ask for, request minimum of 25 feet off the existing roadway center line be provided along the existing roads for future widening. So that's along the Eaton parcel. No, we're asking for, Jeff, is on your parcel. The Seekins, we had obtained that back in 2014.
We'll take a look at that.
Thank you. Item number 2, we're requesting that they provide a monument along the northerly lot line. Item B, correct the abutter lot label on the southerly lot line. Item C, revise the lot sketch labeled to tax map sketch. Design review item number 3, the applicant's application submission includes separate driveway site distance plans and profiles, but the submitted plan does not include the plan reference or note relative to the associated plans. So we're just asking them to update the plan accordingly, indicate where those plans come from. That's all we had.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Questions from the board. I'll start on this side first. Any questions for the applicant?
Not currently.
Staff?
Changing of the lot line, you mentioned something about there being a prior development that owned that particular?
On the Seekins property, which is the larger lot,
Yeah.
that cut out the frontage lot. I can look up the number.
37.
37 Litchfield Lot 12-11 was cut out back in 2015 from the Seekins lot, which required us to, one, get state approval for that one lot, but also next door to it, where the Seekins still has their frontage, we had to do, show that that was a buildable area on the front.
Okay.
And the house is already built on the Eaton lot.
So that wouldn't have changed anything that we gave for variances or anything back
No,
in the past
no,
for
there
that?
were
Okay,
none.
that's ultimately what I was getting at.
Thank you.
Stone walls, anything going to happen to those after the lot line adjustment,
Nothing is happening. What I'm accomplishing out of this is I'm the one looking to purchase it, is just to give myself a larger buffer. I've got a 30-acre piece of land next to me. Someday, right? I mean, I suspect someday that it won't be a vacant piece of land. Right now, I sit in my backyard, I see the deer, the turkeys, I love it. I've got only about 70 feet of woods right now. After I put my house in, and with this lot line adjustment, it'll give me closer to 300 feet of woods. That just ensures my privacy. This is the house I'm looking to die in, right? And that's my intention with this.
I like the forward thinking on that.
Yes.
And, the other thing, I think Eric knows this, is when a stone wall is no longer a lot line, it needs to be Z'd out on the plans.
The stone walls need a what?
If it's no longer a lot line,
Yes.
then on the plan to Z it out to
Okay.
make that
Yep.
distinction.
Yeah, I think we labeled it lot line to be removed, but I can see it out on the plan.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Straightforward to me.
No, nothing for me.
Okay.
It's a lot of work to look at deer.
Yeah, no, it's,
My last house, I had about 50 feet from the neighbor, and so it's, yeah, just looking for the privacy.
well, that's one way to do it. Anyways, so this is a public hearing. Is there anybody from the public that would like to make any comments? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for deliberations.
We've got 9 waivers in total.
We have 9 waivers in total. That
Do those all together. So, someone else wants to make a motion?
yeah, let's.
I'll make a motion to approve all 9 waivers together.
Yep, and this is according to the memo from Kristen Farr dated September 3rd, 2025. And it has the wetland related, there's 3 there, conservation overlay district, 1 there. This related, 1 there. Actually, 2 more to that. And then waiver, plan scale and owner's signature time, so that's it. So Ryan's made the motion, I'll do the second.
Okay, so I have a motion and I have a second. All in favor of
Aye.
the motion on the table, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. Okay. We have acted on the waivers, and next up is,
You want to make the motion, Ryan?
To adjourn?
no. No. All right, why don't you make it?
Motion to grant approval for,
Lot line adjustment.
lot line adjustment for 31 and 39 Litchfield Road.
Yeah, I'll read the whole thing, just to be
Okay.
official for the record. So, I'll make a motion to grant conditional approval of a lot line adjustment plan to adjust lot line between 2 parcels. 31 Litchfield Road, tax map 12, lot 16-0, owned by Vicky M. Eaton Revocable Trust, and 39 Litchfield Road, tax map 12, lot 11-5, owned by Gail H. Seekins, in accordance with plans prepared by Eric C. Mitchell Associates, dated August 12th, 2025, with the precedent conditions to be fulfilled within 2 years and prior to plan signature, and general and subsequent conditions of approval to be fulfilled as noted in the staff recommendation memorandum dated September 3rd, 2025.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Sean. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. You have an approved
Thank you.
plan. So, thank you all.
Did you find it? Where do I get that?
Okay.
It's right over there. Oops.
Next up in the agenda
Is this the right one?
is the Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission reappointment of Suzanne Brunel.
Mr. Chair, I'll make I'll make a motion that we request that town council appoint Suzanne Brunel to a position on the Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission. And Suzanne has been a member of the commission for 8 years, on the ZBA, I think approaching 10 years, and is a well-established attorney at Divine Home.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
I have a motion and a second, but before we get to the vote, I just have a few clarifying questions. What is the term of a Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission? Is that a 3-year term?
3 years. 4 years.
4 years. Okay, excellent.
That's all specified in RSA 36.
Excellent. All right. Motion and a second. Call to the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. Excellent. I have one more piece of, just a really quick statement that I just kind of want to read and provide just an update on our master plan, if you would so enlighten me.
Yeah, and after that, Mr. Chair, I also have an item. Thank you, after you.
Okay. Sounds good. I'll go first, and then Tony kind of makes it. Okay, so I just wanted just to kind of, as we all know, we're going through our master plan, updates, and we're finding opportunities for efficiencies and improvements. So I just want to read a quick statement, for the public and for us just to kind of think through here. So as we continue the work of revising and adopting Londonderry's master plan, I believe it's incredibly important that we pause to assess the steps we're taking. This is not just about completing chapters, it's about ensuring the plan we adopt provides long-term stability for Londonderry. We need to confirm that the structure of our work aligns with the town's broader strategic priorities, and that what we produce complements and supports efforts already underway across departments and committees. That alignment is essential for collaboration, consistency, and credibility. Equally important, our community engagement strategies must go beyond collecting input for its own sake. They should connect directly to the actions and outcomes we intend to pursue, so residents can see a clear link between their voices and the plan we ultimately adopt. So in the short term, we are continuing, and I just want to be clear here, we are not stopping the work that we are doing. In the short term, or I'm not proposing that we stop the work that we are doing. In the short term, our immediate responsibility is to complete the Tier 1 chapters, which includes land use vision, housing, regional context, and demographics, while at the same time, the community survey for the Tier 2 chapters, as Mr. Rugg updated us earlier, which includes natural resource, transportation, and economic development, is open. And those chapters will follow the framework that we previously defined. As we move forward, we need to really be clear how we move forward. I want us to reset and begin refining the action plan that will carry this project through its next stages. To support this work, our September Master Plan Steering Committee meeting will be canceled, so leadership can dedicate the necessary time to sharpening the framework and preparing for the months ahead. As part of that effort, we'll prepare a proposal for the planning board that connects directly to the town's strategic plan, which is now in development. It will ensure that the master plan is not only forward-looking on its own, but also fully integrated with the town's broader goals, providing a clear implementation roadmap that ties priorities, resources, and actions together. In summary, on that point, we're not just creating a document, putting it on the shelf. It's going to be an actionable, dynamic plan that ties into the work that volunteers do, that our staff does, and that that our town is continuing to go through. That is definitely one of my priorities, and as I bring forward this proposal formally, you'll see that theme. For the Tier 1 chapters, our next public session will be a planning board public hearing, which we're looking for a date in October so we can review and advance the Tier 1 chapters. So to close this out, ultimately I want us to transition towards a more dynamic and actionable plan, one that just doesn't, again, just sit on a shelf, but provides measurable steps, priorities, and timelines that can guide decision-making in the years ahead. And I believe that's really the standard that the community deserves. So I just wanted to kind of address it that way. Our last master plan steering committee probably formally kind of say this. I didn't act in the way that I probably should have. And I apologize. That's not what the town deserves. But I want to ensure that we are, the town understands I'm committed to this work, that this board understands that I'm definitely committed to this work, and that the chairman of the planning board understands that I'm committed to driving this work and ensuring that it is a dynamic and actionable plan with full support. So we cannot do this without the great support we have from our town staff and Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission, as well as the dedicated volunteers that are kind of going through that. So for the folks that have had the opportunity to watch that master plan steering committee, you probably saw some of the items that were discussed rather and very animation, and I apologize for letting it get that far. So that said, looking forward, definitely a great opportunity to really kind of envision what these master plan updates truly are. So, Tony?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So can I comment on what you just said?
I'd like to comment on that too, if I could.
As long as it's positive.
100%.
I'm kidding, of course.
So in listening to what you just said, is it fair for me to say, if people ask me to say, that the Master Plan Steering Committee is pushing forward as they have been? However, there's going to be a slight retooling.
That's a fair assessment.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say, you know, sometimes we hit bumps in the road in projects, and you know, I love how you've led this all throughout. I think we hit a point where we got a bit of frustration, not just with you. I shared it with you. And with that, you can take it one of two ways. You can dive deeper into that, or you can take a step back, retool, and make something better. The vision that you've outlined forward and knowing the further, deeper details is a good one that's going to take us in a much better place than we ever would have got before. So this took something that, you know, we had a little bit of a down spot, and we took it and made it into a much more positive outcome. So I'm very happy with what is coming out of this, and it's we're all better for it.
Thank you, Sean.
I think you've been doing a good job, Jeff. And I know that you have it. I think we hit an inflection point, which from times to times it does happen. And that's when we kind of reflect a bit and then move on. So you've got my support. And anything, things get too tense, just let me know.
I agree.
There are
Thank
times
you.
you have to step back from things a little bit, or even take a meeting off. You know, you have a vice chair.
So before my head explodes with an ego aspect, is there any other comments not directed towards kind of me leading the master plan that you want to kind of just, talk through or ask about?
No, I just think that we just need to be cognizant of it when it's complete, that we are asking ourselves the whole time, how does this project that we're looking at now fit into that master plan, and support businesses and support local, and we got to wear so many hats. But if the master plan is the master plan, you know, we need to respect that. There's a lot of work to put on it. I think you're doing a great job, and I just think that we need to make sure that we follow that plan, and we should all be pretty familiar with it.
Yeah, no, and that's a great comment there, Ryan. Just it's our document. You know, it's, again, that's definitely one of the reasons why I just don't want it just to sit in a shelf. And I think with what the staff is doing right now, what Kelly and her team are doing, what town manager is doing regarding a strategic plan, this is a great opportunity to kind of align that with that strategic plan and seeing where those, kind of where those items are. In addition, you're not having, you're not having two, I don't know what the animal analogy is, I haven't eaten yet today. You're not having two, I'm going to butcher this, you're not having two pigs run in this different direction. That's not what I meant.
Horses.
You didn't butcher either one of the pigs.
Yes. We all got to be in the same race.
What I'm trying.
How about two bunnies? How about two bunnies?
Apologize. What I'm trying to say is, you're not having, the train number A, going to that direction, train number B going to this direction, and having it, not having relevant inflection points. And that analogy made no sense either. So I'm just going to stop there. Tony, you had something else, right?
I did, so thank you, Mr. Chair. Moving right along, at Tuesday's town council meeting, I believe one of the councilors misspoke and didn't mean to say it, but I want to clarify that the planning board does allow public comment, and that there were 2 opportunities for the general public to speak on at least two different cases tonight. Might have been 2.5, whatever it was. There were multiple times tonight where the general public had an opportunity to speak. No one did, but the opportunity was there, and this board does allow public comment for the cases that are before us.
Good reminder, Tony. Thank you. All right.
And with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Go ahead, Arthur. I withdraw my motion.
Yeah. The state has started on its 10-year highway program, so got any projects or anything, send it to staff. But also, there was a DOT individual virtually at the meeting and said basically next year anyway, they're gonna be just repair and maintenance, because they don't have any further money, because the principal on the I-93 expansion has come due, and it's a little over $20 million gonna be going into that, and that takes it away from highway projects, so be patient, there'll be more coming, and it does not affect federally financed projects.
Sergeant Cruz, do you have a comment?
Motion to adjourn?
I'll second
I have a
that.
motion. Second by Ryan. All in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. Thank you all.